So now that I have done the very first mock draft for the Alice Cube, I'm going to go through the decks that landed or I picked for each one of the 4 mock players. These being the very first time that I've done this, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the drafting strategy that I assigned for each one of the 4 players. And so I'm just going to go through each of the decks one by one. And then once I finish going through it, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to kind of mock play them or anything like that. Because I know that this is only a first go. And then I've got some cards to put in from my recent pack cracks, additional pack cracks that I may get to this weekend. And I'm also going to do a second draft. So I already have 4 other rulers that I'll just dish out and do another draft. I'm not sure if I'm going to film it because after a while these things become really, just too long, too drawn out. So anyways, this is the Alice Valkyrie deck. Counters on fairy tales you control cannot be removed by effects, and this J ruler wants in the front a deep blue, which I don't think was drawn in this selection. Okay, and so there you have it. So these are the cards that I made into the deck, and then I'll show the cards that I didn't pick for the deck. Okay, so this was the green black deck. It's got some shadows. It's got the ability to make white on this one card, but I don't have enough of them. So really, it's really a shadow deck with the Force of Wind, if you want to call it the Force of Wind machine. And I'm not going to read the cards. If you go into the playlist that this video is in, there's a PowerPoint video where I go through all the cards. And after I do a second mock draft, I'm going to make some substitutions in that group. I may also, I think, after I crack my TMS booster box Christmas time, I may end up just doubling up the cube and making it a 48 pack of 16 cards each cube. So there is a Gwyber in here and Titania. Then also 2 Death Sights and 1 Horn. The Excalibur is okay because your J ruler gains 100 for each resonator you control. That's good enough. You can get some Will of any color with fairies. I don't think there's that many fairies in this deck. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is not a fairy deck. Let's just put it at that. Let's just leave it at that. And so, and then because it's in darkness, you can make use of a Scorn of Dark Alice and a Necromancy, and then also counter spells, and of course this mana where you can cast your Gwyber out of these 2 cards because you're not really on white. And then part of the wind section. Okay, so then these are the cards that I did not pick into the deck. And I'll just, I think I'm going to put them here. I may mock play the decks just for fun, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make a video out of it. So these are the cards that didn't make it, all the machines. This big dude, I just wasn't on blue. So I think the drafting strategy was not optimal. Hopefully for the second draft with this current selection, the other 12 packs that I have, I'll do a better job. I'm going to substitute this card in with a regular one, not a full art, which I pulled the other day. And I'm going to add more cards with the moon theme. So again, these are cards that just didn't make it. I mean, they're good, especially this card, but I had to be very picky, which is good. I think drawing from 48 cards to make a 30 card deck is pretty good. Okay, so this is the machine deck. Of course, it's got the wind. I think I order these by will, converted mana cost, converted will cost, if you will. Okay, so it does have one drop machine. It needs more. So it's going for multiple colors, which is also suboptimal in a machine deck. I think a better machine deck is just machine and green, but it's got blue. It's got Adam Brawley and just a bunch of machines. A playset of this guy. Not sure if in a real draft any one player would have landed with a full playset of this card, which is pretty good. It's a 4-drop flyer. Nothing to laugh at. Then the Wyver and the Angel. And then the big dude, because I am on blue. And then this Regalia gives you a J Ruler target attack. It gives it a small boost, but it's really target attack is the biggest thing. Then Maribel, of course, is a machine deck. Another Death Scythe. Some card draw, will, more will, and a counter. Okay, so that's your second deck. Now I'll just put them in here because all the cards that did not make it, I'm just gonna put in a pile. Okay, so these are cards that didn't make that deck. This card would have been pretty good, but I just wasn't on blue darkness. This is good also. So there were some good cards that just didn't make it. I may reduce the number of this card in the cube, and so also of this card, especially now that I drew better machines from my BFA pack crack. I also upped the number of resonators in the cube as compared to spells, to what's called normal spells, which is for Force of Will the equivalent of non-creature spells in Magic. Yeah, I may change the numbers for some of these cards after seeing how. Of course, I just don't have the 3-card combo in the cube, and I will soon. Okay, so then the Xion deck. I'll go through the Xion deck first, and then show the cards that didn't make it. So the Xion deck is on Fairy Tales. I'm not sure how much. This card is excellent. I mean, you pay 3 blue and you tutor for 3 Fairy Tales. I'm not sure. I didn't do a good enough job of having moon themes. So it's got fairies and fairy tales. Not enough fairy tales. I wanted to have more. I'm also going to shift around the Sacred Beasts numbers in the cube. It did manage to use a Hera, but it does not have enough fairy tales to go tutor. It needs more. So it does not make good use of that triple tutor. It was more in the deck just to have another resonator. It does have a lot of card draw, but not counter spells. Okay, so that's the Xion deck. I think it's one of the not so good ones, even though Xion is a good ruler. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this this Regalia in the cube. Okay, so these are the cards that did not make that deck, including this one, which is a very good card. So I think I need to do a better job in the next iteration of the cube with the Priscia theme, with Sacred Beasts and Beasts. I also did not do a good job in this first iteration of the cube with, I'm sorry, my piles are falling off because the sleeves are really slippery. There we go. I did not do a good job of having color balance enough where where or maybe even like choice of cards. I think I did not draft well enough to get the right decks, to get the decks to be optimal the way 4 humans would have done, and or did not have proper balance in the way the cards were put in the packs. I don't know. I need to think about it, but I'm not happy with the way so many Barrier of Shadows ended up just not fitting the decks that for which they were picked for. So some of the darkness staples and the fire staples went unused, and I think that's a faulty drafting on my part. Okay, which I hope to get better at in future iterations of the cube. Again, when this cube is finally tuned and is fed to humans, then it doesn't matter, because then you're talking about the skill of people who play better than I do. I'm sure whoever I hopefully end up playing this cube with will play better than I do. Okay, so this is the Arla deck, and it's got a red section. Of course, it's Force of Wind, and it also has some light cards. Okay, it does have a Gwyver, so it's got enough 1-drops. Not really playing to the moon theme yet in the cube. That's still in draft. It's to be expanded on at the cost of other cards that didn't work out that well, such as some of the Regalia. And I pulled more of this elf, so they're going to go into the cube. But I am happy with having 5 Gwybers. 3 of them landed in this draft, which means that the other one is only going to have 2. On the other side of the spectrum, there's 3 of this card, and only 1 came out, so 2 will come out in the next draft. And yeah, so I already have 5 of this guy, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's enough. And I have like 9 of this card, and many of this card. So I think I'm good with some of them. I could probably use some more King Sense. I could use more counter spells in this cube. I don't think I have enough counter spells. The fire section, I think it's in good shape, given how many of these cards did not land in one of the 4 decks. Okay, so these are the cards that I did not use, so I'm not gonna muck around with these. Again, I want to put in more fairy tales, because I think this card is excellent, and I think it'd be fun for somebody to draft it and have enough fairy tales. So I'll have to think about that, and more ways to make sure that people do want to use Barrier of Shadows or go darkness than it happened, or also make use of Hera. So I'm not sure yet if it was my poor drafting or the cube, the way the cube itself is structured. For the next iteration of the cube, when I look at all the cards again and I make substitutions, I'm going to go through all the themes and make sure that the themes and attributes are well balanced. Okay, so those are the cards that did not get selected, and so those are the 4 decks, and I'll probably mock play them just to see how they play. And so anyways, that's what I have for this very first draft of the 2 drafts of the very first selection for the Alice Cube. Long term, what I envision doing is adding 24 packs of Grimm, 24 packs worth, so 384 cards, and then 384 times 2, which is 768, then turning the cube into a 768 Alice Grimm mega build, which I already have a playlist for, in which I plan to crack some packs from Grimm Cluster. Some I have, some I don't have yet, but I definitely have a few two towers packs. This is my last remaining stash of reprint 2 towers packs. All right, so on we go.